Your permanent residence application is in process, but the expiry date of your work permit is coming. Can you continue working in Canada while you wait for a decision? This is where you need to be very careful and listen very carefully. Applying for permanent residence does not automatically extend your work permit. After receiving an acknowledgement of receipt, commonly called an AOR, does not by itself give you permission to continue working. However, if you qualify to apply at the right time, a bridge and open work permit may allow you to continue working while IRCC continues to process your permanent residence application. Hi, I'm Kyriaki, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with KPIS Immigration Specialist. And here we have to discuss a few topics today that I will explain the following. Who may qualify for a bridge and open work permit? What your acknowledgement of receipt actually means, how maintained status may allow you to continue working, what provincial nominee program applicants need to check, what happens if your work permit expires before you apply for PR, and why traveling outside Canada while you're waiting can affect your ability to work. Before we begin, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful. First, PR status and work permit authorization are not the same. This is probably the most important concept of this video. You need to separate three different things. We have your permanent residence application, then your temporary residence status in Canada, application to work in Canada. These are three separate legal questions. You can have a permanent resident application in process and still lose your authorization to work. You can also have legal temporary resident status in Canada, for example, as a visitor, but have no authorization to work. So, telling your employer, don't worry, my PR is in process, it's not enough. To continue working legally, you need a valid work permit or another legal authorization that allows you to work, for example, a study permit. But what is a bridge and open work permit? For certain permanent residence applicants, one possible option is a bridge and open work permit, commonly called a BOWP. Think of it as a bridge between your current work permit and your permanent residence application. But here is what is very important. A bridge and open work permit is a separate work permit application, so you actually have to apply. It does not approve your permanent resident by itself. It is no guarantee that your PR application will be successful, and simply being in the PR process does not automatically mean that you qualify for one. So, you must meet the eligibility requirements that apply to your permanent residence program and your circumstances. This is very important. Who may qualify is going to be your next question. Bridge and open work express entry. Depending on the program, there might be specific requirements concerning where you are living, your current immigration status, the stage of your permanent residence application, and whether you are the principal applicant. So, don't assume. We don't assume in Canadian immigration. I applied for PR, therefore I can apply for a bridge and open work permit. No, that is not necessarily true. Your specific permanent residence pathway matters. What does your acknowledgement of receipt actually means? Now, let's talk about another most misunderstood document in the PR process. The acknowledgement of receipt or receipt generally confirms that an IRCC has received your permanent residence application, and depending on the immigration stream and processing stage, you may be relevant to determine your eligibility for a bridge and open work permit. But acknowledgement of receipt is not a work permit by itself. You need to still submit a work permit application. An acknowledgement of receipt itself does not give authorization to work in Canada, so this is very important. Your PR application and your authorization to work are connected in some situations, but they're not the same. You still have a valid work permit during the whole process, and timing is very critical. Let's say your work permit expires soon, and you appear to qualify for bridge and open work permit, when you can make an enormous difference. If you're eligible, and for a work permit extension before your current work permit expires, you may be able to remain in Canada under maintained status while IRCC process the permanent resident application or the work permit application if you submit it before they expire. And depending on your circumstances and the applicable rules, maintained status may allow you to continue working under the conditions authorized by your previous permit while you wait a decision on your new permit. This is why waiting until the last minute can be risky. We know this. We have experienced this all the time. Don't wait until your permit already expired to start asking, what should I do now? Review your options well before the expiry date printed on your work permit. So what if your work permit has already expired? That's another problem. This is where the situation becomes more serious. If your work permit expires before you submit the appropriate application to extend, that's it. You need to stop working even if the PR application is in process. This doesn't matter. Depending on your circumstances, you may be able to apply to restore your temporary resident status and obtain a new authorization to work. But restoration, it's not the same thing as maintained status. What does it mean? Applying for restoration does not mean that you can go back to work. No, the time that your work permit has expired, you need to wait until the restoration to start working. Continue to work without authorization can create immigration consequences, and this can come later as a PFL. So if your work permit has expired, get advice about your situation before continuing to work. So now, what happened with the provincial nominee applicants? Pay attention to this. If you apply for permanent residence through a provincial nominee program, there are additional details you need to review carefully. Why? Your nomination contains some employment restrictions. Check your nomination. So it may be tied to a particular employer or occupation. There might also be conditions connected to the province or territory that nominate you. Those details can affect whether a bridge and open work permit is available to you. So don't assume that another PNP applicant situation is identical to you. No, look at your own nomination documents very carefully and the current IRCC requirements. What about your employer? Now that's another question. Employers are often understandably concerned when they see that an employee's work permit is approaching its expiry date. You may hear, your permit expires on Friday. Does that mean you have to stop working? And then you have to respond accurately. Depends on what happened before the work permit expired. If you properly apply to extend your work permit before the expiry, you meet the applicable requirements for maintained status, you can be legally authorized to continue working while IRCC process the application. But you should be prepared to provide the appropriate documentation explaining the situation and give the confirmation of the application submission to your employer. Do not just say, my PR is in process. Your employer needs to understand the basis on which you are currently authorized to work, and this is a proof of work permit application submission. So now, another question. What happens when you travel outside of Canada? This is another mistake that we deal with this every day. So applicants think that as soon as they submit the bridge and open work permit, they can travel outside of Canada without any consequences. But be careful. Your ability to enter Canada and your authorization to work are separate issues. A work permit is not a travel document. You can see in the end, it says this is not authorized re-entry. Depending on your citizenship and your circumstances, you may also need a valid TRV or ETA to return to Canada. So always check the sticker on your passport. What's the expiry date? So if you leave Canada while relying on maintained status on your work permit, whether you're authorized to work, you will be considering that when you come back, then you will lose this maintained status, and this means that you have to wait until the work permit is approved to start working. So these are the biggest mistakes to avoid. If your PR application is in process and your work permit is expiring, remember these points. Number 1, PR in process does not automatically give you the right to work. Number 2, an acknowledgement of receipt is not a work permit. Number 3, Check whether your permanent resident program actually makes you eligible for a bridging open work permit. Number 4, apply before your current status expires, whenever the applicable rules require it. Number 5, understand the differences between maintained status, I continue work, and restoration, I stop work. Number 6, if a provincial nominee program applicant, review the restrictions on your nomination, always. Number 7, don't travel outside Canada without first understanding how departure and return could affect your eligibility to return and your eligibility to work. Final takeaway. If there is one thing I want you to remember from this video, it's this. Your permanent residence application does not protect your right to work by itself. You have to protect your temporary status and your work authorization separately. A bridging open work permit can be extremely valuable for eligible applicants, but eligibility and timing matters. If your work permit is approaching its expiry date, don't wait until the final few days to figure out your options. Review your immigration program, your current status, your work permit expiry date, and the requirements that apply to you, not to your friend. I'm Kyriaki Papadopoulou, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with KPIS Canada Immigration Specialist. If you find this video that is useful, then subscribe to our channel, share it, and like. Of course, and we'll be here for more videos to help you to remain in Canada legally. If you need professional assistance reviewing your specific situation, you can contact KPIS Canada Immigration Specialist. See you on the next video.